So this is Reverend Sarah here with Barb Quijada. We're going to talk a little bit about the work she's doing with Valley Interfaith Project. How's it going, Barb?
Good. Good morning. Glad to be here.
Well, I wanted to give you a chance to just share a little bit with folks about the work that VIP is doing this year, and some exciting things have been happening. So I wanted to just give you a chance to kind of give us a sort of a big picture view of it, and then we might dig into some of the specific things that are happening, and also like how you're feeling about it. So all
Okay,
those
glad
different
to answer questions and share with you about the work.
Excellent. Well, and I've been doing some of this work with you, so I have some sense of it, but you and I sometimes are walking in spaces and conversations that other people don't know are happening. So I think this is an
Yeah.
opportunity to share some of that behind the scenes.
The
Tell us a
nice
little.
thing, I'm sorry, the
No,
nice
go
thing
ahead.
about it is that, and then I'll let you lead. The nice thing is that there's more than just the two of us now who at VUU who are really quite involved, and that's a really positive thing in my opinion. So,
I think
yeah.
so too. Let's start there. Tell me about building this team over the last year or so, and kind of what's been going on in terms of bringing folks into this work.
Yeah, for a while, it felt like I was working with you or sort of alone, trying to get people to understand the mission of VIP and why VUU is so important. But I'm just so excited that now there are a lot of people that are involved. We have a core team of eight, 6 to 8 people, depending on the day, who we've been meeting regularly. This last month, we'll probably cut that down to maybe once a month if we can. But that core team is really helping so that the work gets spread out and the message gets spread out. And I think that's wonderful. Then we have at least 15 people involved in rapid response, which is when there's a call to write a letter or make a phone call or show up at an action. People have said, call me, and if I can, I'll be there. We've had in the last 6 months, I would say, we've had at least 50 people from VUU who have attended one action or one meeting or one training or some combination of those. Many people or several people, several of those. So that to me is just amazing. And I have at least 88 people on a mailing list that have, every time I send out an email, I say, if you don't want to be on this list, let me know. And so far, we've got 88 people on that who have said, keep me on. I want to know what's going on. So that growth in the attention at VUU to what Valley Interfaith Project is doing just warms my heart. It's really good to know.
Yeah, it's been really exciting to watch the team develop and see folks getting involved. What do you see in terms of people's experience once they get involved? What is it that's like a draw that feels good or exciting or interesting for folks? Obviously speaking for yourself as well, but what are you seeing sort of happen for other folks as they get engaged?
Well, sometimes I think it's just, no, I think it's issue-based to start with. I think that when they hear that VIP is working on behavioral mental health, particularly student mental health, or they hear that we're working on affordable housing, those two issues right now are the prime ones that we've been working on. I think they're intrigued, and if it's something that affects them, then they think, okay, I want to know more about this or what's going on. But then I think the piece that is lovely is that then what happens is people begin getting to know others, both within our congregation who are finding people with common interests or common anger, common concern about issues, and they meet others and realize there's more can be done with more than just one or two people. And then the part that I like the best is then meeting people outside of our congregation who are involved in the same work, who care about the same things, from other denominations, and just to know that we have so much in common. And then that gives us a chance from VUU to sort of teach everybody else about Unitarian Universalism and who we are and what we do and how much we have in common with other groups and other denominations who are part of VIP. Those connections, I just am finding so satisfying and so interesting. Yeah, that's the part I'm really liking the best.
I'm definitely really attracted to that piece too, of the way in which this work engages us in the idea of building a stronger institution. That I love that VIP has this belief that the strength of the collaborative organization is based on the strength of the individual congregations, and so the deeper our leadership and relationships with each other go, the better we are able to show up in this larger community. I think that holds true for my experience of community.
Well, and I just find that the personal growth I've had in my ability as a leader and my ability to speak to the stakeholders, speak to the people who are making the policy. I mean, I have gone, and this is my personal growth in leadership that has come out of VIP training, and it's benefiting VUU, it's benefiting me personally, my family. I mean, I used to have to, when I did any of this work or this kind of work, I had to read from a script. And I find that I no longer, I mean, I want to know the facts. I need to have those in front of me, or the words, because I forget things quickly. But I am able to do that kind of public work that I could do it in front of my classroom when I was teaching, but other than that, I've never been comfortable. And I really think that, and I see that growth in others in our congregation, working with people outside the congregation, but also within our congregation on committee work and just all kinds of things in our congregation. I think it's great.
I agree. Tell me about something that felt like a real win this year, or a moment when you maybe were surprised by how things turned out in a good way.
Yeah, the work is slow, and so when you work on the affordable housing issue for 2 years now, trying to get people to understand the facts behind it, trying to get people to understand the causes of it and what might be done, all the pieces that might be done. And we had the action at VUU, and we had a city council member who we'd met with on, one-on-one meetings before, or small meetings, come to that and speak publicly about the issue. She's not committed yet to voting the way we want her to vote on the council, but we have a relationship with her. And then this last week with the press conference that you helped moderate and that we were there for, with the relationships with all the different denominations, the bishops from the 4 different churches. And then to take that and go into a legislative hearing meeting on Monday, or well, whenever it was. Yeah, it was Monday. And have bipartisan support for a bill that we're supporting, at least get it out of committee. And we don't know where it'll go from there. Our organizer, Sammy Miracle, who I admire greatly, says, sometimes bills like this take 2 or 3 years, but each year you get a little further. So that feels like a big win. That feels like a success to have 2 votes that we didn't necessarily expect for that. Yeah, and I think the conversation is changing. We've met with the county supervisors, the chairman of the county supervisors. He recognizes us now. He knows who VIP is. The word is, it's no longer, who are you? What are you doing? We've had 4 or 5 media contacts who've printed articles about us or spoken about us on the radio and on TV in the last month, about the work that VIP is doing. And if you raise the consciousness of people on the issues like behavioral mental health for students, affordable housing, neighborhood safety, some of the congregations in Phoenix and the West Valley, that's really what they're working on. It also is important, I think, that some of the issues that VIP, these issues that we work on, come out of conversations in the congregation. And it was apparent to me early in the work for affordable housing at VUU that I had people say to me, well, I care about this, but it's not really a problem for our congregation. And we have found that to not be true. And we have found that there are people whose stories they've been willing to share, and so it has become more personal for me, for our congregation, than it was when we started this work on this particular issue 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was really aware too of that sort of shift in the capacity for people to share what's really going on with them. I think sometimes in congregational life, we're not always fully honest about what our struggles and challenges are. And so we can make an assumption that there isn't a struggle or challenge there, or that we don't have particular kinds of issues in our community. When we start to create a space for people to share their stories, not only does that allow us to become better advocates because we actually know somebody who's experiencing that problem, um, we actually, I think, become better community members. Like,
Yeah.
we're less likely to make those assumptions as we move forward, and more likely to be willing to be vulnerable and honest with each other in ways that make real community, I think, feel more authentic. So, yeah.
One of the pieces that people who know me know, I become I harp on it a lot, is how the big issues that we're concerned about on a national level, I don't feel like I can do a whole lot about. I can vote. I mean, I do always. But other than, that, I want to make a difference in my community, in my neighborhood, in my and in my congregation. And to have, if there are people who have issues that they don't feel that they have to keep them sort of hidden because they don't seem to fit, that we need to be able to talk about those things, and in talking about them, not just sympathize or empathize, but look for ways to work together to change things. And that brings me to another part of VIP work that I find so interesting, and that's that we are nonpartisan. And we say we're nonpartisan, but very political. And I had a hard time wrapping my mind around that at first, but nothing gets done if we aren't able to listen to and build relationships with people on both sides of the aisle and both sides of the political divide. I think it just has to be, and I'm learning how to do that. I didn't know how to do that before, and I'm learning how to do that. You're muted, Reverend Sarah.
I think I learned a little bit about that in college. Um, but I think I keep learning more and more about what it means to be nonpartisan but political. Um, it's funny, Jon Stewart had when he came back to do his comedy thing or whatever, and his news thing, one of the statements he made that actually really resonated with me, that wasn't actually funny at all, it was just true, at the end of his first show, was something to do with the fact that, like, yeah, we should all go vote, but it's what you do all the way up to that day, and everything you do after that day forever until you die, that matters. Like, it's the way we show up for each other in our communities, the way that we work on issues locally. It's exactly what you just said, that we make the biggest difference in doing this work right in our own backyards, right in our own communities. And we definitely also still need to vote, but the bigger part of citizenship and engaged community life is actually about these conversations you have with city council members, and the spaces where you learn about what's happening to your neighbor, and figure out ways to work on those issues as a community. I'm also just always taken by the reality that we can't do this work alone, right? I mean, what you've seen happen this last year, if you were just a social justice committee at VUU, not in relationship with anybody else, like, what would you be working on?
Right. And I think that where it's been amazing to me is how working together with others. So somebody in Mesa, or somebody in Chandler, or someone who has a connection to somebody here from another congregation. Then when we get together, well, I know so-and-so, I can call so-and-so who maybe can get us a connection with the council member. And so when we call, when we don't, you don't use that a lot, but it's sort of that network of people that is maybe outside of certainly it's outside of my realm, but also outside of VUUs. So who else in the community working on this together? And then also when we go into those meetings, fascinating when we go into a meeting with a city council member from Chandler, for instance, or from Mesa, when someone from another congregation, another denomination says, well, I live right in that neighborhood, or I am a neighbor of yours, and with that comes, and I am a voter in
Right.
your district. I have trouble because with all the work we've done in Chandler and Mesa, because I live in Tempe, but I'm always able to say, but my congregation, now I don't even say I live in Tempe. I say, and my congregation is in Chandler. So I'm representing my congregation and the people of my congregation who live in Chandler. And as an aside, I don't say it, but it's implied, are voters in your district or in your area. So that was a piece I didn't understand at all before this work.
Well, I want to thank you for all the work you've done and all of the work of that team of 30 to 50 people who showed up and done different kinds of actions.
Well,
I know
and I really want to shout out to the people that are the core team now, David and Kathy Malamed and Amanda Schneider and Bill Elliott and Linda Stenholm and Mary Kate Eccles. And I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but there's a team now.
there's a team.
And that just feels just delightful, just delightful.
And I think it's important that we think about the resources that we use to help support this work because VIP is in our budget. And I think for some people that might seem surprising, but based on what you just said, it makes perfect sense, right? I mean, this work is both increasing the efficacy of how we lead inside of our congregation. It's also increasing our efficacy to live out the values and ethical concerns we have in the community by connecting us to this broader team. And so
Absolutely.
that investment in having an organizer and an institution that helps us, create those building blocks and maintain them and develop them is,
Yep.
to me, it's a real extra incentive or an extra piece in that puzzle that helps us make sure that that
Right.
that we do the things that we say we would want to do as Unitarian Universalists. And whenever I think about the lone social justice committee model that maybe we had 20 years ago in many of our congregations, that's not the model that we know makes a difference in the community around us. It's the
Right.
model in which we are working
Right.
as a team with each other, but also as a team that's connected to other teams outside our walls.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because it's important for everybody to know that Valley Interfaith Project is made up of a group of institutions, mostly congregations, but not all, who are dues paying members. And the only way we have a very, very, very small budget. We have one paid organizer. We would love to have two, but those, two at least in order to broaden the effect. Yeah, that the organization depends on the dues and further contributions, donations from our member congregations. So it's really important.
Well, thanks for having this conversation with me about VIP. I look forward to sharing it with other folks. I hope that more people show up to be part of this profound team and, gain all those different aspects that we just talked about, that sort of personal depth and growth and the connecting out and just the excitement of seeing something happen, even when you have to wait a long time and do a lot of hard work, make a lot of phone calls to see that
Right.
moment when something shifts or
Yeah.
changes.
And know that the work will continue, that it's not going away. Yeah.
That's right.
Thank
That's right.
you. It's
Well,
been
thank you,
fun.
Barb.
Take
Thank you
care.
so much.
Uh-huh.
Hi, this is Reverend Sarah Oglesby-Dunegan, the Senior Settled Minister at Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We're inviting you to sustain our community through new financial contributions, continued financial support, and increasing your financial support if you're able to do so. We need about $90,000 more in pledge income from last year's budget to support our continued work in this congregation. Maybe you've never pledged before. You can make a monthly, quarterly, biannual, or annual contribution through your own bank account or through our website. This is a lot how we support other member organizations in our community. But in this case, we have about 300 members and another 150 or so friends who participate in our community. And we currently have less than 200 pledging units, families or households that make a pledge. What does this mean to you and your community? How much do you value the work this congregation does in the larger Phoenix metro area? With your contributions, we can make sure the Valley UU is still here for future generations that need a faith community that offers all the things that Valley offers. Excellent youth faith formation that prepares kids to live in a pluralistic community with respect for a wide range of beliefs and practices, grounded by a moral compass built from compassion, inquiry, accountability, and integrity. We also have adult faith formation that has a commitment to social justice and service alongside spiritual and intellectual development. We participate in interfaith community organizing, and we have worship that is engaging, renewing, and inspiring. We have a lot of mutual aid and care that holds us through all of life's challenges and celebrations. Valley UU is a healthy, interdependent community that values your contributions. Thanks for adding your special ingredients that nourish and sustain this community. May we find there is abundance where abundance is needed.